And if you like the video or any other content on the channel, feel free to subscribe. Salamanders Firestorm Assault June. This video will be going over all the changes that benefit and hurt the Firestorm Assault Force for the Salamanders Space Marines. We'll focus on the Space Marine changes for Detachment and the core rules changes that affect our list building. Winners and losers for the Space Marine units that we may have considered in our list before the June data slate. Now we'll go over how any of the changes in the data slate have affected the Army rule or the actual Firestorm Assault Detachment. So for Oath of Moment, nothing has changed for the better or for the worse for Oath of Moment. With Firestorm Assault Force, the close range eradication for ranged weapons equipped by Adeptus Astartes models from your army have the assault ability each time an attack is made with such a weapon that targets a unit within 12, add 1 to the strength characteristic of that attack. The fact that we cannot do actions when we advance with assault anymore does hurt our secondary scoring, because this gives our entire army assault. We used to be able to run up the board and still do actions. Now we can't do that with Pariah Nexus. Now let's talk about a few of the changes that have affected us. To be honest, there's not much has actually changed for the detachment itself. Biggest thing that will affect us is the change to stratagem modifiers. We have some of the very powerful detachment defining stratagems that are battle tactic, and before the change we can make any battle tactic stratagem cost 0p and use it even if it already been used that phase. Armor of Content, Crucible Battle, Onslaught of Fire, and best of all, Immolation Protocols that cost 2 CP. All these were battle tactic. The change to CP modifiers probably hurt us more than helped, because we used to be able to use Immolation Protocols for 0 CP and use it if it already been used that phase. I will go over the stratagems and how we may use the CP reduction changes to our advantage and how much it hurts us. The first stratagem we'll start with is Armor of Content. For 1 CP, this was a battle tactic, so we used to be able to use this for 0 CP. We still can now, but we can no longer double it up with Rites of Battle. In your opponent's shooting or fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, one Adeptus Astartes unit from your army that was selected as a target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets a unit, worsen the armor penetration of the attack by 1. The change to Rites of Battle, not allowing us to use this stratagem twice per phase, will hurt our overall army toughness, and this is an amazing stratagem to use on our land raiders or bigger units of infantry. We will have to be more careful now when choosing which unit to use this stratagem on. The next stratagem we have is Burning Vengeance. Your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has resolved its attacks. One Adeptus Astartes transport unit from your army that was selected as a target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. One unit embarked within that transport can disembark as if it was your movement phase, and then they can shoot as if it was your shooting phase. But you must target only that enemy unit when doing so, and can only do so if the enemy unit is an eligible target. And this stratagem This was not a stratagem we use on a regular basis. The changes the data slate brought will not really affect our uses of this stratagem. We can use it for 0 CPs now, but we're probably not going to use the Rites of Battle on this stratagem. Next up, we have Onslaught of Fire, another battle tactic for 1 CP in your shooting phase. One Adeptus Astartes unit from your army that disembarked from a transport this turn and has not been selected to shoot this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes a ranged attack that targets the closest eligible target within 12 inches, add 1 to the hit roll. One or more enemy models are destroyed as a result of any of those attacks. Select one of those destroyed units. That destroyed model's unit must take a battle shock test. This is another stratagem that will not really be changed by the data slate. Yes, we could make this cost 0 CP with our Rites of Battle, but this stratagem is at the bottom of my list to use a CP reduction ability on. And one of the big losers of our stratagems is Crucible of Battle. It is a 1 CP, a battle tactic, and this is one of the ones that we did like to double up on in your shooting phase or your fight phase. One Adeptus Astartes infantry unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase until the end of the phase. Each time a model in your unit makes an attack that targets the closest eligible target within 6 inches, add +1 to the wound roll. This is a stratagem that will be hit quite hard by the change to the CP modifying abilities. We love to use this twice in our shooting or fight phase. It was a battle tactical stratagem that we could use twice per phase before the data slate, increasing our overall damage by a fair amount over the course of the game. And just like Armor of Content, we will have to be much more mindful on which unit we want to use the stratagem on, making sure we get the most of the +1 to wound. It is another blow to our Captain and Gravis armor. And here is one of my favorite stratagems in the Detachment. Immolation Protocols for 2 CP, a battle tactic in your shooting phase, 1 Adeptus Astartes unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase until the end of the phase. Torrent weapons equipped by models in that unit have the devastating wounds ability. This is the stratagem hurt the most by the data slate. This was an absolute auto use for a Rites of Battle with my Captain in Gravis armor with the Flamestorm Aggressors attached, reducing a 2 CP battle tactic stratagem to 0 CP. Then if I had the CP to use on another torrent weapon unit like the 10-man Infernus Marine unit, you could really put out a lot of devastating wounds. This was a stratagem we used to get access to devastating wounds to punch up into those tough units or vehicle or monster units. I love my aggressors. Sadly, this stratagem is not the reason to possibly take 2 units anymore. I like the CP reduction change for the overall game. It really did hurt the Firestorm Assault Force overall power though, this stratagem being a prime example. The last stratagem we have is Rapid Embarkation. For 1 CP, the end of the fight phase, 1 Adeptus Astartes transport unit from your army that has no models embarked within it, and 1 Adeptus Astartes infantry unit from your army wholly within 6 inches of that transport. Your infantry unit can embark within that transport. There is some restrictions with this one. You cannot target an infantry unit that is within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units that cannot normally embark within that transport or disembarked from a transport this turn. This is one of the few stratagems in the Detachment that will enjoy the change. A unit with a CP reduction ability will be able to embark in transport for 0 CP at the end of the fight phase. Then that can be your fight phase or the opponent's fight phase, making this stratagem more viable to use in our game plans. I do have a feeling though, Rites of Battle abilities will be used on some of the other stratagems in the Detachment, but I do like having the stratagem in our back pocket for potential 0 CP. Alright, so let's move on to the Salamanders Space Marine winners and losers. So the winners, we have the Repulsor. The Repulsor dropped 10 points from 190 to 180 with another buff with the transport capacity increase from 12 to 14, allowing us to fit 6 aggressors or eradicators with a character in the transport. Eradicators would be the more interesting choice. Then we have the Impulsor. The Impulsor did not receive any points changes, but it did get its transport capacity increased from 6 to 7, allowing us to put Adrax and 6 Blade Guard in the Impulsor, making a much cheaper transport option than a Land Raider or even a Repulsor. The last winner we have is the Land Raider Crusader. This unit only received a small points cut of 10 points from 230 to 220. It is the points increase to the Land Raider Redeemer that put this Land Raider Crusader in the winners category, possibly opening up a few new ideas of what to put inside a 16 capacity transport. For our Salamander Space Marine losers, we have the Land Raider Redeemer. The Land Raider Redeemer received a hefty points increase of 25 points from 260 to 285. I still think at least 1 is a great choice for us, but it does begin to limit what else we can bring in our list at that price tag. Then we have the Captain in Gravis armor. This unit's points did not change, but the change to Rites of Battle to reduce the CP cost of any stratagem by 1, as well as no more using a stratagem twice per phase. This has actually hurt our captains in the Firestorm Assault Force much more than it helped. We will be much more CP hungry, which was already a problem with our army before the June data slate. And last, we have the Gladiator Valiant. Points increased to the least powerful of the Gladiator variant of tanks from 150 to 160. Not a huge change, but enough to put an already weaker tank into the losers category. For my final thoughts, the Firestorm Assault Force was hit quite hard by the data slate change. I still think it is a really fun detachment to play. Add in the Salamanders characters, we can still play a competitive game. No, we will not be topping the leaderboards or even top 10, but it's still a really fun and fluffy detachment to play. Our top infantry units were unchanged in points for the better or worse, leaving us a fair amount of options to us. And I'll still be covering the Salamanders with the Firestorm Assault Force. The top 3 vehicles list will be the next for the Salamanders content. I might try making a full-on aggression list just to see what I can do with now some of the cheaper repulsors, maybe more infantry, just something to make maximum aggression. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for weekly battle reports and other Warhammer 40k content. And most of all, thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by.